Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to change out the hydro booster on an '04 Chevy 2500 diesel. Now, as you can see right here, there's a lot of fluid in the floorboard. It's because it's leaking from the inside. The hydro booster is located right behind the master cylinder, right back there. So basically the first thing that you want to do is disconnect the battery, make sure that there's no power going in anything, and then you can go ahead and step on the brake. Step on the brake a few times. If it's a soft pedal like it where it feels normal, then that means that there's buildup of pressure. Go ahead and step on it until it firms up, and once it firms up and it feels pretty stiff, then you've bled the pressure out. Then you'll come over here and go ahead and take the mounting bolts off from the master cylinder and pull it forward. Don't disconnect any of the lines, brake lines going there, but once you pull that forward, you'll start working on getting the other lines off. You'll have to unbolt it from the inside. Now you will need to get a 13 or so on the back side to hold the nut still as you're spinning the front off. So after you get those nuts off, just set them up somewhere so you don't lose them. Pull the master cylinder back, and then you'll work on getting this hose clamp off. And then you might want to go ahead and release it from the inside. Now if you have a lot of fluid on the carpet on the inside, then you'll want to grab some cardboard or something to lay it on top of there so you don't soak your clothes. You can get a piece of cardboard like that, and then you'll be able to get down on the carpet and lean up underneath here and start looking at what you got to undo. Now, looks like this one, from what I can tell, it looks like the okay, you got the 4 bolts. You got one right there, and then you've got one up top there, kind of hiding. Yeah, and then you got 2 more, one on each side. Total of 4 bolts hanging onto it. So, let me get a ratchet and we'll start working on it. So I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you look up in there, close to where this switches, you'll see a spring clip on the back side of it, and you'll need to let that spring clip come off in order to pull the brake rod off. It should just be a, let's see if I can see it. I'm having a hard time seeing it from where I am, but let's see if I can. Okay, so you see the spring clip right there. You'll need to just bring it forward and slide it upward to be able to release it. Once you slide that forward, be able to just pop it off like that. And once you get the clip off, you'll be able to slide the whole rod off. So you don't have to disconnect the brake switch on this. You just slide it off and you'll see that the rod is right there, which will be going forward whenever you release these other 4 bolts. Now the other 4 bolts, you can see one right there where I'm pointing with my finger, and then there's one that I've got the socket on right here, and then if you look back behind here, if I go to the left just a little bit, you'll see one right there, and then right up in there. So if you get a swivel, you should be able to reach all those nuts with a swivel and get them off. So we'll go ahead and start taking this one off here. And just a quick note, sometimes it's easier to go ahead and break the feed lines with it still mounted on the inside. So you might want to go ahead and break them, and then that way you can get them off more easily once you get the nuts off on the inside. Just like that. So once you've gotten all the nuts off, then go ahead and go to the engine compartment side and start removing the pressure lines in order to pull that straight out into the engine compartment. So once you've gotten both lines taken off, just a quick note before you do remove them completely, you might want to take some cleaner and clean all the dirt and stuff out from around them, and that way you don't get anything in the ports or have to spend too much time cleaning the end. Now you will be replacing the seals. It's best if you replace the seals for the connectors on there, but once you get those off and that backed up and out of the way, then this will, and you got all the bolts off, then you'll be able to wiggle this and it'll start working its way out. Might have to move the master cylinder around a couple different ways until you find out which is the best way for you. So there you see how the hydro booster's out, and we'll start comparing this one with the new one. Now, as you can see, I've got both the units here, the new one and the old one. You will have to pull your rod out and put it into the new one. Everything else looks like it matches up. Just make sure that whenever you pull these plugs out that you don't get any paint debris or anything down in the holes. Now be really careful whenever you're taking the rod out, because it does have a spring back behind the sprag deal. You might want to put your hand or put your rag up there, and you can take a little screwdriver and just kind of pop up on it. But like I said, as soon as that comes loose, this will come flying out. So it does have the spring in there, and now you'll be using this and your rod and the spring retainer all back into the new unit. So here's, you see the rod. Okay, so clean that up and then stick it down in the new one. Go ahead and put your spring down in there after you've cleaned it off. And then you'll be able to push your other piece after it's cleaned off. Now you might want to get some safety glasses before you take that off, because if you're not careful, this will come flying out. But you can pretty much tell which direction it goes. The spring goes over on this side, so you'll be placing it right back on there and then sliding it into the new unit. And you'll basically just push it all the way up in there. I'm gonna have to put down the camera because I had to use 2 fingers to push it down into the groove. Okay, you can see where I've got that transferred over, and I pushed it down in the groove. Make sure that it is secure. The rod and everything will stay right there, and then you'll start reinstalling the whole unit back into the vehicle. So once you get the replacement one ready to go in, you simply just reinstall it and put it back in the way you took the old one out. Once you've got it slid into place right here, go ahead and go to the inside and start tightening up the mounting bolts. Now it's usually easiest if you just start tightening up your mounting bolts one at a time with your finger. Just get the nuts started on there. That way you know that the threads are straight, and then you'll be able to get your socket on there and start turning them with it. So once you get the bolts all back on the inside, then you'll go ahead and just take your switch. Everything's a reverse process. So get your switch, slide it over the end of the brake rod, pull the pedal out just a little bit so that so you can get the rod onto the brake pedal, and then you'll be sliding the retaining clip back over. The way that it came off, just go right up there to the end of it. So once you get that retaining clip back into place and everything's tight underneath here, then you'll be ready to go to the opposite side, start reassembling the rest of it. Go ahead and replace your O-rings on your feed lines and then get them tightened back into place. So once you've got your pressure lines back on, then go ahead and get the rod, make sure the rod, everything is centered on your master cylinder, and go ahead and start bolting that back up, getting it back into place. Once those are good and tight, now you'll go to bleed the system. Now whenever you finish putting everything back together on the hydro booster, you want to make sure that you got your power steering filled up with plenty of fluid. And then I usually will turn the steering wheel back and forth 4 or 5 times with it off. I jack up the front of the vehicle to make it easier, and then I'll go ahead and turn over the engine a little bit. And I don't usually get it to start, I just kind of bump it over to get that circulation going from the pump, to try to get all the air out of it before I start it. But anyways, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, like it, share it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next video.